What's up, guys? Sci-Fi Guy 2094 here. Today I have an awesome topic to talk about. I'm going to be talking about DC Studios and Warner Brothers, their animated division. They are adapting the Knightfall comic book from the 1990s into a three-part animated film. So, I saw this it's probably in like my little Google feed, right? It's like, oh, okay, Batman Nightfall, cool. I thought it was like a new video game, and I copied the link and I sent it to my brother. And then we were texting, and I was like, yeah, it needs added. I was like, it needs adapted into a film. And I was like, oh wait, this is a film. And I was like, oh wow, I thought this was just like a video game. So anyway, they are going to be adapting Batman Nightfall. It's like a three-part comic book. I think the first one's Knightfall. I forget what the second part is called, and then the third part is called Night's End. But it's a very prolific comic book from the 90s in which, they kind of adapted aspects of this to the Dark Knight Rises movie by Christopher Nolan. But basically, they're at a breaking point in Gotham because Bane has taken over the city after he has broken Batman's back. And, they're basically on the verge of, chaos and being fully run by criminals and gangs and all the gang leaders. And, the cops are trying to, keep order. And it's like, oh my gosh, like, where is the Batman at? So you have this guy named Jean-Paul Valley, I guess, who steps up, and he takes on the mantle of Azrael, which I believe in certain religions like Judaism and Islam he's like the angel of death. The name Azrael means angel of death. And so this guy is like Batman on steroids. Like, this Batman is like a brutal Batman. I guess if you think of like how Owlman is, I guess you could say he's kind of like Owlman in a way, who's just like he's very cynical. But this guy, Jean-Paul Valley, I guess his whole thing is enacting like righteous vengeance against these criminals. Whereas Batman is just like, yeah, I'm vengeance. He's not like, I'm a righteous angel of death. You know what I mean? But Azrael is like, I'm a righteous angel of death. And he's just like putting the beat down on criminals. I'm pretty sure he kills people too. Now, I haven't read this original comic book, but I've heard about it quite a bit. And from what I understand, he's like a very ruthless, brutal Batman. So think Owlman, but he's actually a Batman. So yeah, I'm excited for this. I believe it comes out in September, and the second and third part will be coming out, I believe, in 2027 sometime. So I'm really excited about that. Obviously, DC animated films are incredible most of the time, whether it's part of a shared continuity, such as the Tomorrowverse, or its predecessor, which was New 52, Flashpoint, or whether they're just standalone, like JLA films, such as Crisis on Two Earths, or what was another really good one? Like classic ones, like Mask of the Phantasm, and then other good newer standalone ones, such as what was a really good new one that was kind of standalone? No, let's see. It wouldn't be Last Halloween because that was part of the Tomorrowverse. Oh, Justice League versus the Fatal Five. That was a good one. And then, of course, you have like the 2000 movies, which are like Batman. Gotham Knight's a pretty good one. Also, Under the Red Hood is one of my favorite adaptations of a Batman story. Hence, why I'm wearing the Red Hood t shirt right now. You have so many good movies, especially in the New 52. I believe Bad Blood is during the New 52. So you have Batman Bad Blood. You have, I believe, Batman and Robin, or Batman versus Robin is New 52. And then you also have Death in the Family, which that is not, I don't believe that's part of the Flashpoint New 52, the Death in the Family. But, that's kind of similar to, I believe, Under the Red Hood story. So you have a lot of good Batman movies out there. So it's like, why are they just now adapting this this Knightfall comic book into an animated film? It's like you would have thought, with it being so prolific, they would have been done it. Just like Frank Miller, Dark Knight Return, the Dark Knight Returns Part 1 and 2. It's like, wow, that's a prolific comic book. It's got everything from government wars and Soviets to just localized crime, and of course national crime, and Batman's all in the middle of this, Superman's in that movie. It's like, wow, honestly I can't believe how good the adaptation for The Dark Knight Returns is. It's really good. So that's a two-parter. And so my hope for Knightfall is that I kind of hope it's up to that level, which, I mean, obviously I want it to be as good as as The Dark Knight Returns. But here's the thing, that was so well adapted with the DC animated film. I'm not quite sure if Knightfall is going to be able to top that. That's just my opinion. Obviously, this one's going to be a trilogy rather than a duology or a two-part or whatever you want to call it. So, yeah, we'll have to see. But anyway, I'm really excited. The other thing I was kind of wondering is, I know they're saying it's like a standalone entry in the DC animated universe. But my question is, I thought that they were doing away with the shared or the alternate universes and Elseworld stuff, because if you guys remember at the end of Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 3, they used the Miracle Machine to basically just merge every universe together. So the whole multiverse thing, after they defeated the Anti-Monitor, and I believe it was Wonder Woman it needed like a sacrifice, right? So I'm pretty sure Wonder Woman, I think it was going to be Supergirl at first, and they kind of hint at that on the cover, which I believe this is taken like right from the comic book, from Crisis on Infinite Earths, like the original comic book, where I think Supergirl does die. But in this version, it's like, well, I think Wonder Woman's the one that dies because she sacrifices herself to power the machine. It's like some weird alien ancient technological marvel in which it can read the will of anybody, and then it just makes that into reality. So this Miracle Machine, basically, it's taking all variants, it's taking all universes, and it just merges it into one singular universe, right? Just one universe, one continuity. So that's how the Tomorrowverse ends. So my question is, how do we have this Knightfall movie outside of the continuity of following the Tomorrowverse? Because technically they're supposed to be they said it's a monoverse now, right? One universe. There's no multiverse anymore in the DC animated films. So how are they going to, I don't know, retcon the events of Crisis on Infinite Earths with this new Knightfall movie? You know, how are they going to put these two ideas together? Unless they want to just start the new DC with Knightfall, which would be kind of a strange way to start the new DC. But I'm kind of wondering, how are they actually going to go into the sequel to the Tomorrowverse? So that's my only question. So, but regardless of that, I'm pretty stoked for Batman Knightfall. It looks good. A lot of times DC Animated Studios does not miss on their animated films. They're really well made, animated, and the story and action and the detective work is really good in most of these movies. So anyway, I'm excited for that. And let me know what you guys think of the upcoming Knightfall trilogy.